Hi everybody, welcome to the week 3 review preview video. This is on chapters 511 in our textbook, and this is week 3 where we are in the trimester. So number 1 says graph y equals 1/2 x minus 3 and its inverse function on the same set of axes below. And it says, what is the equation of the inverse function first? So thinking about how we've been learning this in class so far, we have our original function here, and then I'll make a little spot for the inverse. So let's think about what's happening right now with our equation. So we'll start looking at the x. And what's happening with it, I know it looks like it's being times by 1/2, which technically it is, but that's also, when you're timesing by 1/2, that means that you're dividing by 2. And then we're also subtracting 3. So now thinking about the inverse of this, we've got our x, we start from the bottom and we do the opposite. So this means that we are adding 3. And then instead of dividing by 2, we will be multiplying by 2. Okay. So let's go ahead and write our inverse function to the side. Okay. So what this says is we have an x, we are adding 3 to it, and this whole thing is being multiplied by 2. So here is our inverse function. Okay, awesome. Next, for part B, it says, does the original graph and the inverse function have a line of symmetry? If so, what is the equation of the lines of symmetry? Hint, a line of symmetry is like a mirror. Can you see mirror images in the graph? All right, so let's split this up a little bit. We've got our original equation. I'll put that in blue here. And that was y equals 1/2 x minus 3. And then we also have the inverse, which is y equals 2 times x plus 3. So let's graph both of these. Let's start with the inverse. Let's start with the original. So remember when we're graphing y equals mx plus b equation, something that's linear, our b is -3. That tells me our y-intercept, so I'm going to put a point there. And the 1/2 tells me we're going up 1 over 2. Okay, so I'm just getting a few points here. I'm going to go backwards, down 1 over 2. Okay, I'll do a line. Okay, now let's go ahead and get the inverse graphed. So I'm actually going to change this. Let's distribute. So it's 2x plus 6. So I did that so it looks like mx plus b. So that tells me that we have a point on 6. Oops, it's really large. And we're going up 2 over 1. And then I'll go down 2 over 1. And you could look at Desmos for help as well. Okay, so now we've got that. I'll draw a line. The line's a little off here. Okay, so then the last thing it's asking us is about a line of symmetry. So is there a line that's like mirroring both of these? So when I look at this for a line of symmetry, if I want to see like a line that's mirroring it, let's look kind of where they're intersecting here. If I were to make a line, it goes right through here. Let's see if it mirrors. Do you see how that line pretty much perfectly mirrors here? So that's our line of symmetry. Now mine might be just like the tiniest bit off, but you guys get the idea. And that line is y equals, so it's going up 1 over 1 each time. If you look, up 1 over 1. So my slope is 1. And then it goes through 0 on the y-intercept, so my b is 0. So that's also the same thing as y is equal to just x. Okay, and that's our line of symmetry. Okay, so for the next one, it says we have Antonio's function machine is shown at the right. So we've got a function here, a of x is equal to 3 to the x power. And when it says, what is a of 2? Okay, that's asking us to plug the 2 in for x. So I'm going to write a of 2 is equal to 3 to the 2 power, because I'm going to plug that in. And 3 to the second power, that's 3 times 3, that is 9. Okay. Now it says if 81 came out of the function, what was dropped in? Okay. So that would be 3 to the x power equals 81. So 3 to the what power is 81? Well, we could find out. 3 to the first power? Well, no. 3 to the second power, 3 to the third power. Oh, 3 to the fourth power is 81. So that means x would be equal to 4. Okay. For number 3, it says if 10 to the x power is equal to 10 to the y power, what is true about x and y, and justify your answer? So I think one thing to notice here, when we're looking, they both have the same base, right? X and y here have the same base. So x must equal y. All right. Number 4 says solve each of the following equations for x. All right, let's do it. So looking at A, we've got x over 3 is equal to 4 over 5. This one looks like one we can just cross multiply. So x times 5 is 5x, and 4 times 3 is 12. Divide by 5 on each side. So x is equal to 12 over 5. Okay. B, go ahead, we can cross multiply here again. So we've got 7 times x, which is 7x, and 5 times x plus 1, put that in parentheses. Make sure we want to distribute. So that's 7x equals 5x plus 5. We'll combine like terms, so let's subtract 5x. So 2x is equal to 5. We'll divide by 2 on each side. So x is equal to 5 halves, or 5 over 2. Okay. Let's go to letter C. All right, this one's a little bit trickier because we got a little bit of some fractions involved, but that's okay. We've got 6 over 15 is equal to 2 minus x over 5. So let's go ahead. Remember, we're trying to get x by itself. So I think the easiest thing to do here would be subtract by 2 on each side. So cancels, and we're left with 6 over 15 minus 2 is equal to negative x over 5. So let's use our calculator a little bit. I'm going to use my calculator a little in here in a second, but one thing to notice is to get x by itself, we are going to have to multiply by 5 on both sides. Okay. So I can go ahead in my calculator and take 6 divided by 15 minus 2 and then times by 5. So that gives me negative 8. Now we do have a negative x there, so I'm going to divide by negative 1 to get rid of it. So 8 is equal to x. All right, and we've got one more, letter D. Same idea here. We do have some fractions, but that's okay. Remember, we're getting x by itself, so I'm going to start with subtracting by 2/3 on each side. Okay, so x over 5 is equal to, and 6 minus 2/3. See how I typed that in my calculator? And that's 5 1/3. Oops, sorry. Okay, then we have to multiply both sides by 5. So that gives me 26 2/3. I'm going to go ahead and also write this as an improper fraction as well. I'll make it an or. So remember, to do that, we'll take 3 times 26, and then we'll add the 2. So that's 80, and we'll leave the 3 in the denominator. All right, and that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.